Look at the long shadow. Wow. Sun is low. The playa. It's like walking on, I'd say, asphalt. I mean, it's pretty hard. Might have a little bit of give, but it's pretty hard. A few weeks ago, this had water on it, and I'll try and get a photo of where people walked on it with their boots. Kind of messed things up, but it's pretty dry now. Not as dry as it will be during the summer, but it's pretty dry. It's solid. It's about a mile across, 3 miles to the end. We're the only people out here at the moment. Not a soul but us. So it's kind of fun. Just walking over to where the tracks are. You can see tracks from the past, like that one. For some reason the rock is gone. Somebody picked it up or whatever. Here's a twig track. You can see the twig. So after coming here and listening to all the things that people said, it's definitely ice. It's definitely ice. You can see wind isn't going to push those little rocks or that branch. See? So what happened was there was a big piece of ice here, and it got to be, some thickness. And then the ice moved, and the little rock was trapped in the ice, and it was just pushed along. See that twig? You can see that was pushed down when the ice rolled over top of it. So I have a feeling that is the case. Lots of these, this just happened. This event just took place because of the snow and then the rain, or the melt. The water turned to ice, and then the whole sheet shifted and moved all the little things with. See? You can see the same length, same exact angle. See this? See that? And there it is right there. So they started at the same, came along, stopped, and if you measured it, it would be the exact same length. Look at that, somebody walked in the mud. Look at that, their tracks. Thank you very much. So the mystery has really been solved. Nobody has seen it, but I don't think it'd be difficult. You would just have to spend some time here, because you'd have to be here, after it snowed, and then it melted, the playa would get wet, and then at night it would freeze. It gets cold. It was cold last night. I don't think it was freezing, but it was cold. So that's when you would, the things would move. The ice is elevated off of the mud, ever so slightly, and then it just shifts. The water, the wind pushes, and off they go. All melts and disappears, and nobody's the wiser. I'm actually surprised, it seems like I've heard that people have studied this for years, trying to figure it out. I mean, it's almost self-evident. Almost self-evident. And these big rocks, the big rocks was a particular event. That's one where there was a lot of water, and the ice was, you know, fairly thick, and the wind was, you know, pretty intense, and it just pushed that ice. It had a big surface area to push, and that rock went with it. Had no choice. Oh, it's fabulous. When you have the curves, you know, the big sheet of ice can actually rotate. The wind could push one end and make a curve, and the rock would pivot. It's awesome. So, I don't know. I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't think there's a mystery at all. But it is fabulous. It is fun. It's a hell of a ride getting here. 27 miles, bumpy road. Man, it's bumpy. But it takes 2 hours. But it's a fun place to be. A person really could spend a fair amount of time here, and at least I could, and just enjoy the heck out of it. It's kind of, you know, it's beautiful in its own way. It has a beauty, and it's quiet. My voice is the only sound there is. It's just absolutely dead quiet. Now, for instance, look. Well, I'll go down here. I'll go down here. But you can see they also have moving sagebrush. Sagebrush, or you know, some sort of tree, and it's stuck right in. See, stuck. You can see that when it was plowed, it picked up all the mud. But look, you know, so it wasn't tumbling. The ice held it right in place. There's the stem. Ice held it in place. And that's how far that piece of ice moved. Dragging the little sagebrush. Oh, look, it even changed angles. Oh, isn't this sweet? Look at that. The moving sagebrush. Look, he's probably going all the way over to the edge. That piece of ice. I love this. Came along, little then it changed direction, whoop, crossed its own path again, and off it went. There, see it? See it? Who knows where it ended up? People take the rocks too, which is, I think, a little bit on the bizarre side. Why would you take rocks? Look at that trail. And it goes from quite a ways. Got hooked up in the ice over there and just moved across the water. Here's Mr. Footprint. Somebody came out here recently and walked out into the playa, into the mud. You know, that's not a really smart person. Look at this. Look at this. Each step they're going, oh. See now, of course, see, I take them, there's nothing. But, you know, come a time. Another track. Pretty good stuff. I'm going to let it go for a little bit and I'll pick up on the other side. The smell, too, is, it's really earthy. Yeah, you know, go figure. But it's earthy with just a touch of sage. This morning when I woke up back over there, our camp is just in the shadow again, or still. You know, that sagebrush smell, or no, creosote bush. Oh, it was just so awesome. Got up before the sun, and it was cold, but so much fun. And you know, that's part of the deal, too, is it's not all wine and roses doing this stuff. It's not all wine and roses. There are times that it's very difficult. quite uncomfortable. Not really all that much fun. But it does add. See, that's frozen. See that? That's frozen. That's had a little water there. But it all adds up to the experience, part of the experience, and it's well worth it. You know, the hardest part really of doing anything like this is getting going. After you get going, it's like, it just, it's like falling. I mean, it just happens. You just let it go. See that rock? That's probably within this last event of water. The water came down, it snowed in the hills, and then it ran down. Snowed in these hills. It ran down. This end, this is why they have the moving rocks only at this end. And you can see that one's heading out there. There's the rock that created this. Is because this end is lower than that end by 1.5 inches. So whatever the elevation is, 2,000, 3,000, whatever it is down there, this 1.5 inches lower here. So the water will migrate down here ever so slowly and will pool. And depending on the event, see how much water. Wow, that's weird. See how much water builds up. And this can only happen in the winter or spring when it's going to freeze. It cannot happen during the summer. It could have 6 inches of water here and nothing would move. This is all brand new. This all just happened right here. Everything you see, that rock right there, that just happened, this last event. Look at this one. This is awesome. I love this. Came along. We'll go follow it, find out. Went down, kind of did a little diddly, and then took back off the other way. Meaning the wind shifted, and that piece of ice shifted. You can tell this track was first, and then that track was second, and came over here. Look at this. Plowing its way. Big sheet of ice. Then did a 90. Look at that, 90. Went down there, kind of doodled or fooled around. Came around, came back up here, and then up and over. And then it took off that way. That's so cool. Oh, here's another stick. See, way over there, coming along. Here's another stick. You know, and that's part of the other thing too, is everybody's like, well, it moved east and it moved west and it moved all these different directions. Of course it did. It's different pieces of ice. That's the stick right there. You can see that line right there. See that line coming down? There it is. That's what's making that line. There's the bottom. Went up, came back. But of course they did. You know, there's the ice fragments into different pieces, doesn't move all in one. Some big pieces, some small pieces. And that's why you get different things happening, different directions. The wind. Look at these two rocks that kind of came together. Primarily, they do move from the what will be the water be the deepest end north. So that means that the ice is thickest down here. The sun comes along, picks up the wind comes down this valley, pushes that piece of ice, and takes those rocks for a ride. Look at that one. Two different pieces, two different times, but they all were going essentially in the same direction. Look at that. So it's fun. It's great fun. This is Sunday. Oh, I don't even know what the date is. 10th or so. Look at this guy. This guy was after that guy. Came from over there. Came down. Got to this thing. Oh! Changed direction. Brr. Change direction. Looks like, you know, a student driver. Go over there. Oh, now throw it in reverse. Back it up, back it up, back it up. That's where we ended up. The ice finally melted and the ride was over. The rock goes, oh, fine. Look at that out there. Isn't that cool? Yeah, this is where it's just busy. Ooh, look at this one. See? Started there. Little one. Moved along. That's where you ended up, right there. Okay, I just wanted you to see this. You see that track. Oh, matter of fact, let's go. This rock started here on an event that took place sometime, maybe last year. You can see that's where it ended up. Started right there. Where it came from to that point, who knows? But it goes along, moved along that particular time, and it's finished right here. Then this time it took off at an angle, slid along, crisscross, crisscross. You can see this is fresh because you see the graining. The graining hasn't had a chance to wear down. Little bobble there. Kind of turned. See how it turned? It was kind of going straight and then it turned. And this is where it ended up. Look at that. That's really something. And now it'll stay there until the next event. Different pieces of ice doing different things at different times adds a complexity to it that, baffles people. Is like, oh, it's got to be magic. It's not really. Not really. And the thing that nobody's seen it is nobody's really put in the time to see it. Because when it snows here, you'd have to stay here until the moment was right. And when it was right, it would really be something. So much fun. Look at that little stick. Where did it come from? Way over there. Came along. Whoop! Change direction. Came along. And here it is. A stick and a rock. Together. Moving rocks and sticks. Is what we can say. Oh, there's a big one. Yeah, this just happened. This is all brand new stuff. That's where he started. And that's that rock out there. All kinds of stuff. It's I can feel the wind here right now. Oh, look at, here's a threesome. Oh, this is so cool. Look at that. Look at that. You can see they were going, and then the ice turned them, and I'll bet you $1 to a donut if we measured the measurement, this would be very similar. Look at this. This is so cool. So this is the birth of the moving stones right here, this hill. You can tell that it wasn't that long ago that there was water here. This is all new stuff. But they start here. And I imagine the water gets to be maybe 3-4 inches deep here. And the sun does just what it's doing. It's holding onto these stones. The wind picks up and the sheet of ice just moves and drags all those with. And then it, may take the day and it refreezes and does something different and changes direction, wind, all that stuff. But this is obviously the majority of them. I'm moving right out here from here, this ridge. They move out. Once they get out here, they're out. They're sailing. Look at this. And of course, they can only go so far depending on the depth of the water. Starting to get warm. Taking my hat off. Out on the playa. See my car way over there? You can see the color difference. This is where the water was. See how that difference? This was wet and it hasn't dried to the degree that mud out there is dry. What beautiful color palette too. I mean, it's just amazing. Chris is over there on her little point, just kind of doing her thing. Camera. Pretty fun stuff. Racetrack Playa. 2014, February. Good time. Beautiful sunny day. Yeah, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Again, it's so funny. So few people really come here and take into, just take it in. It's freaking spectacular. Spectacular. Well, you can even see old tracks. This is a busy area right here, needless to say. This is where the birth of all the rocks come from. Exact match of tracks. You can see one piece of ice. One piece of ice. And the ice can move along and run into another rock and then pivot. Like these pivots. Like this. Pick that rock up from over there, way back when. Moved along. And then it's recently just moved from its place of rest that far. Same time with that. But that's probably what happened. Of course, these are two totally different events, those two. But the ice can go along and then run into a rock and then pivot. And so that everything it's taking will arc. Or the wind. But look at those tracks. I mean, so many of those tracks are just following each other perfectly. See? Just boom, boom. Exact pattern. So it had to be carried by ice. Wind wouldn't even do that. You know, the size of the rock and all that stuff would bear into the wind issue. It was ice. Ice moving it together. Yeah, once it gets muddy, it's, you know, the friction is less. But a big piece of ice with wind behind it, it's going to move. Awesome stuff.